Are you buying an iPhone 17 Pro Max or Pro and unsure which case to get for it from the Apple Store? Well, let me showcase to you the 4 top cases on the Apple Store that you can get, including the TechWoven, the clear case, the silicone case, and the beads case, because these are going to be really your only options. And all of these cases are Apple designed and tested for scratch and drop protection, because the Apple 17 Pro and Pro Max are just very prone to scratching overall. And personally, I think it's just another reason for Apple not to share the weight as well as measurements for each of these cases, so I measure them out for you. This is the Apple TechWoven case with MagSafe for your iPhone 17 Pro Max, and I have it in the color purple, but it also comes in blue, sienna, green, and black. I weighed mine and it weighs 35 grams, and I also measured the camera bump protection as well as the screen lip protection at 1 millimeter. The TechWoven case is a huge upgrade from the FineWoven case, which I called one of the worst cases you can get for your iPhone since it came out, and that's because it uses a new dimensional texture created on a jacquard loom. And compared to the FineWoven case that you see here, the jacquard loom really just allows the weaving to be tighter and more interlocked so that it's going to be better resistant to wear and tear. Your iPhone 17 Pro Max is going to sit comfortably inside of that 100% recycled polyester material, but the biggest problem you see is that the camera bump is going to be completely exposed. So even though you're getting that additional 1 millimeter of protection on the sides, it's not really doing anything for the center or around the areas. You're still going to have the lanyard area so you can attach it to the strap, but what was most confusing for me personally is why is some of the aluminum on this iPhone 17 Pro Max exposed? Because that's a potential area where it can scratch or get dirty. So placing your phone inside is going to be really simple, and let's do some drop testing as well as some grip testing. This is coming with this textured TPU on the sides. It does blend well with the overall color scheme of the TechWoven, but it's not going to be the same material, so it's going to look a little bit two-tone, even though it looks slightly fresh. It's also going to line up with what you see here on the bumpers around the screen. So again, I'm just repointing out that you still have that exposed aluminum, and the camera bump is so unprotected that any pebble, any rock is going to scratch this up right away. So overall aesthetics, to me, it looks good. This could be one of my favorite looking cases, but as a protective case, it's not that great. The camera control button is very good. It's easy to press, it's easy to slide up and down, and because it has a slightly different texture than the texture sides, it's actually going to be very easy to locate when you have it in your pocket. If we're talking just about the MagSafe strength here, the MagSafe is going to be quite mild. I'm not going to say it's weak. If I had to give it a score out of 1 out of 10, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's not going to fall off of a MagSafe charger, but as you see me placing this over a waterfall, it made me incredibly nervous because it doesn't feel as secure as what you might get if you just had a polycarbonate back. And removing it and taking out your phone is going to be relatively simple. Drop protection is okay. If you just drop it on the borders, that TPU material is going to be more padded than previous cases from Apple, especially the FineWoven case. So overall, from the aesthetic standpoint, I think the TechWoven case looks great on an iPhone 17 Pro Max. But from a protection standpoint, it's kind of lacking just because of that camera bump cutout here is just so exposed. And the aluminum on the sides is also exposed on your screen. This is the clear case with MagSafe for your Apple iPhone 17 Pro Max. And once you take it out of the case, you'll notice that it is actually going to be an improvement from previous clear cases. The material has finally been updated, so it's not going to be so rigid. And that's because it has those TPU borders that are 2.25 millimeters thick. And in terms of the camera lip protection, just like the TechWoven, it's going to be 1 millimeter thick, and the screen lip protection is also going to be 1 millimeter. It's also going to jump out at you that the back of the case is not completely clear. There's a big white block here, and personally, I don't know what to make out of it. I like the white block, but a lot of people might not like it because it's not completely clear then. If we take a closer look at the case with your phone inside, there's going to be that big cutout on the bottom, and that's a huge problem for everybody because if you drop it on that cutout, it's going to damage and scratch your phone. At the same time, your camera cutout is also massive. So just like our TechWoven case, I don't know why they did not interlay or at least protect the camera bump better. you're still getting that 1mm on the screen, and it's not thicker on the corners. It's actually just going to be a steady border all around the screen just to make it more symmetrical. I will applaud Apple for finally updating the TPU border material, so it's going to be thicker than before. It will remind you of a OtterBox symmetry case in many ways, and placing your phone inside the case is going to be very easy because there's not a lot of flex because of that large cutout on the bottom. Apple did say that the material is optimized to prevent yellowing over time, but your TPU is going to yellow faster than the polycarbonate back where the white part is. Testing out the MagSafe magnet strength here, it's going to be the strongest MagSafe magnet strength out of the Apple cases in my opinion. We're going to give this a 7.3 out of 10. It's not that much more powerful than what you get with the TechWoven, but I do feel more secure using it over this waterfall than I did on the TechWoven or even the silicone case. The camera control button is going to be very easy and smooth to use on the Apple case, which is by design. I think this is one particular area where Apple really focused on just to make it more integrated and smoother and just cleaner look in the case overall. But my second gripe about this case outside of the protection is just how slippery it is. It is a very slippery case. I do not feel comfortable actually testing this out over the waterfall. I was really scared it would just fall out of my hand because of how smooth the backs are. If you're talking about the overall drop protection, the TPU is going to be bouncy on the corners, but only the corners, because if you drop it anywhere in the center, it's going to scratch your phone automatically, and that's a bad thing. So do I like the case? Clear case? Yes. Is it an upgrade? Yes, but it's not perfect yet. This is the silicone case with MagSafe for your iPhone 17 Pro Max, and you have it in the color neon yellow here, but it also comes in purple, midnight blue, orange, terracotta, and black. The overall weight of this case is going to be 36 grams, so it's the heaviest out of the cases that Apple is offering, and the camera protection is going to be 1mm, and the screen lid protection is also going to be 1mm. It's made out of 45% recycled silicone material, and the inner is going to have a microfiber lining that's going to go all the way around the sides as well. Placing your phone inside the case, you're going to notice how easy and snug and familiar the silicone feels. Because I don't think they've really changed this since the iPhone 15 Pro Max or even the 14 Pro Max. And it's going to have those lanyard areas on the bottom, but the USB-C cable slot is quite small. It's really perfect for the Apple cables, but if you have a different cable that might come in a square shape, it probably won't fit. The camera bump is so exposed here, so I don't know what to tell you. If you drop it on a rock, it's going to scratch it. But the silicone does feel very grippy in the hand, and I always like how the soft touch works on this case. It also sees that it's going to be more sloped on the camera bump area with this kind of yellow bumper, this yellow plastic bumper, to give it additional protection if you ever drop it flat on something. The camera control, which is going to be featuring those sapphire crystals and conductive layer, is very smooth and well integrated into the case. And if you flip the phone around, you look at the screen protection. I'm not sure why Apple didn't just make it a little bit thicker, because it would have covered up all the aluminum, and now I have a little area that could potentially get scratched even if I use a screen protector, and that just drives me crazy. But because of the different texture in terms of the stickiness of the silicone compared to the camera control button, it's not going to be as easy to go up and down because your fingers will get stuck onto the silicone, while the camera control button is very smooth. I would say that on the TechWoven case and the clear case, it's actually going to be better executed. And 0 out of 10, if we're talking about the grip here, I'm going to give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Not perfect, but it's actually going to be one of the grippier cases that Apple is offering. If we're talking about overall drop protection, it is going to have a good amount of drop protection on the borders and the sides. And that's because the silicone is very, very responsive and bouncy, especially when you drop it on the corners and the sides. If we're rating the MagSafe strength, I'm going to give it a 7.2 out of 10. And I'm going to the decimals here because it's not as strong as what you get with the clear case, but it's not as mild as what you get with the TechWoven case. It's kind of in between. So overall, I like how the silicone complements the colorway of your iPhone 17 Pro Max. It's relatively clean looking, and it's going to be quite protective compared to the other Apple cases. Just remember, you still have a lack of camera bump protection, and for larger USB-C cables, it will not fit inside of the USB-C port. This is the Beats case with MagSafe and camera control for your iPhone 17 Pro Max. I have the limestone colorway, but it also comes in bedrock blue, pebble pink, and granite gray. I wish I got the rugged case, but the rugged case was sold out when I tried to buy it. It does have this humongous open bottom that you see on the Apple clear case, so not sure what Beats is doing there, but remember, Apple owns Beats. The microfiber lining is also only going to be on the back, it's not going to be on the sides, so that's a little bit different from what you see on the Apple Silicone case. And if you're looking at the camera cutout here, it is large and in charge, just like you see on all the other Apple cases. You're going to also notice that the buttons are not going to be as protruding as you see on other cases, so that it's going to be a little bit slicker and not as easy to find the buttons when you insert your iPhone 17 Pro Max. And the biggest problem with the Beats case is not just going to be the large open bottom or the camera cutout. Is that the camera protection lip is going to be a little bit shorter than what you see on the Apple cases at 0.7 millimeters, and the overall screen lip protection is still going to be the same at 1 millimeters, but you still have those exposed aluminum sides. Beats does mention that there's an outer matte finish to reduce scratches and smudges, but that also makes the phone less grippy, so it's not going to be as sticky as what you get from most other cases that you try out here. And if you're talking about the camera control button, it's not going to be the same sapphire crystal that you get on the Apple cases, but it still works reasonably well. It's not going to be as easy or as smooth as the Apple cases in terms of the camera control, but it still works. And if you're just looking at the overall streamlined design, it does look single unibody, so that does give it a cleaner look. If we're talking about the grip, I want to be nice, but on a wet day, I really wouldn't try this out, and on a dry day, it still slips out of your hand. In terms of overall protection, because the sides are not as bouncy and they're a little bit more stiff than what you get on the Apple cases, I wouldn't recommend it, and you could see how tall that cutout is and how large it is and how much space there is if you ever drop it on that side of your phone. I would actually think that because it's thinner than what you get with the clear case, is actually going to be less protective than the clear case itself. And if we're talking about the MagSafe strength, the MagSafe strength here is going to be about a 7.2 out of 10. It's not bad, it's not good, but it's reasonable, and that's because the case itself feels so thin and flimsy. So which case would I definitely avoid from Apple? I would definitely avoid the Beats case here. It is the least protective. It is going to be the most slippery with the worst grip, and even the camera control button is not great compared to the other Apple cases. This is going to be the Crossbody Strap for your Apple iPhones, and it attaches to select Apple cases because there's going to be 2 holes on the bottom that are going to be those lanyard holes. When you take it out, you'll notice that the strap itself feels very nice, but it's going to be a little heavy at 59 grams. It's really straightforward to use. You have these pop-out rings that are going to be attached by this little string, and you're going to insert that into the lanyard holes on your Apple cases, and then you're going to slip in this strap where the magnets are located in order to lock in the strap, and that's going to be pretty much it. Remember, you got to open it up. It's going to be attached by magnets, and the magnet strength is actually relatively strong, so I'm not worried about it falling off, but if you are worried, I wouldn't get the strap then. And there's no real branded Apple logos on the strap itself, so I'm not sure how people would know that is from Apple if that's something you care about, but I think it's a good feature, and I've been waiting for Apple to finally add in a crossbody strap, period. And finally, if we're talking about the FineWoven Wallet for your iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max, I would not get this wallet because it's out of that FineWoven material. If they were ever going to do this, they should have put it in the TechWoven material, because not only would it have been more durable, but it would have matched better with the overall aesthetic if you have the TechWoven case. I'm just not sure what Apple is going for here, so is this a pass? Yes, I would definitely pass on the Apple FineWoven wallet, because there's a lot of other MagSafe wallets you can get that are going to be made out of leather or better material, have more powerful magnets, and they're going to look better with all of your different Apple cases, period. So ultimately, which one of these Apple Store cases do I recommend? Well, I don't think you can go wrong with the Silicone case, and the TechWoven case is a big improvement from before. But these large camera cutouts, as well as any case that has a large open bottom, is going to be a problem for protection, especially on an iPhone 17 Pro Max and Pro that is prone to getting scratches because of the aluminum body. So with that, thanks for watching, everybody. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment box below, and please hit that like or subscribe button. It really does help support our channel. I'll catch you next time. I got more case reviews coming, so check them out. I'll see you soon. Bye, bye, bye.